I have great respect for my parents. I got such beautiful things from both of them. It doesn't mean that we didn't have our rough times, but they were remarkable people who were open-minded, creative and hard-working, and had great senses of humor. To be honest, I live among the English and have always found them to be very honest in their business dealings. They are noble, hard-working and anxious to do the right thing. But joy eludes them, they lack the joy that the Irish have. I work with really hard-working people who are really good at what they do. I am a hard-working girl. I don't come from a very ambitious family. We weren't entrepreneurial. We weren't hard-working academics, or setting up businesses. But for some reason, when I started doing fitness, I always had this voice in my head telling me to keep going, and people will eventually follow. We only put the negative black people on television. We don't put the good, hard-working black people. It's an appeal as old as America and its presidency. This is an extraordinary country populated by hard-working, big-dreaming, freedom-loving people graced by God when they're not pulling themselves up by the bootstraps. The vast majority of the American people are hard-working taxpayers who take responsibility for their families, go to work every day, they pay their mortgage on time, they volunteer in their community. We need to truly understand what economic injustice and inequality looks like for hard-working Canadians grappling with it every day on the ground, at home and at work. The hard-working Americans, the people who made this country so great, they've been left in the dust. I mean, I'm married first of all to one of, if not the most wonderful women in the world. She is everything, funny, attractive, hard-working, she has integrity, she loves me to bits. Most arguments for instituting or raising a minimum wage are based on fairness and redistribution. Even if workers are getting a competitive wage, many of us are deeply disturbed that some hard-working families still have very little. It is worthwhile for anyone to have behind him a few generations of honest, hard-working ancestry. I really practiced hard and got to a certain level of technical proficiency. I overcame some of my limitations. I was a hard-working, dedicated bassoonist, but I have to say I'm not a natural musician. In America they like my spicy TV alter ego, probably because there were a lot of Italians and Hispanics in the country, but the real LA life is a hard-working one. Both parents were hard-working and made me work for my pocket money by doing household chores. That taught me the value of money and gave me a strong work ethic. We need to focus on getting people back to work, focus on jobs, the economy, the debt and the spending. That's what will improve the quality of life for American families and for hard-working taxpayers. I'm a hard-working girl. I go to the office. I work a normal 9-to-5 job most days. There are a lot of hard-working parents out there for whom it is hard to support their families during Thanksgiving. Governor Scott Walker didn't know who he was messing with when he picked a fight with the hard-working Union folks of Wisconsin. He must have forgotten that Wisconsin is the Badger State, and badgers are scrappy little creatures. We may look cute, warm and fuzzy, but we have a fighting spirit. What's funny about the slacker thing, people project an image of what they think a musician is, young, slack, unemployed, like a really romantic idea of a poet, writer or musician, which isn't really true a lot of the time. I don't reckon you would know anything about me if I wasn't moderately hard-working. Cleveland's a hard-working town. And whether it is equal pay, health care, Social Security, or family leave, this Congress has refused to address issues critical to hard-working American women. My mom and dad ran a family cafe in Sligo for 35 years and worked long hours. We grew up in a very hard-working family and had a lovely atmosphere, as we lived above the restaurant. It definitely made me want to work hard, whatever I chose to do. As the baby of 7 kids, I was definitely a bit spoilt. I always knew that, even if I was not the most beautiful girl, I'd be the most energetic and hardworking. If you want to know the truth, that's the reason for my success. The United States is a proud, determined, hardworking, talented, patriotic nation and people. And it is not overextended in the manner of empires of the past that took over the lands of others and eventually collapsed under the weight of the overambitious hegemon. Hey, it's tough not to have a ton of admiration for the fans of Baltimore. And, for me, it's because they are such a hard-working, blue-collar fan base that loves football. Hard-working is what gets the job done. You just see that year after year. The students who thrive are not necessarily the ones who come in with the perfect scores. It's the ones who love what they're doing and go at it vigorously. My mother was a free-spirited clinical therapist, and I had the most hard-working father, a television lighting director by trade. My mum raised me to be a global citizen, with eyes open to sometimes harsh realities. Every day, the hard-working men and women of Alabama's Department of Environmental Management are on the ground, protecting Alabama's rivers and lakes in a way that is beneficial to all. EPA should support them in that work, not make it more difficult. If there are violent lawbreakers who want to rob the livelihoods of honest hard-working Canadians in the energy sector, then those lawbreakers should be treated like lawbreakers. Meanwhile, hard-working Americans are increasingly faced with workplace conditions in which critically important safeguards are watered down, emerging problems are ignored, and enforcement is scaled back. My dad is such a good man, hard-working. As Congress continues to debate ways to address illegal immigration, we must remember the many hard-working legal immigrants that contribute so much to our nation's economy and culture. I am very, very diligent and extremely hard-working. I firmly believe that the best way to stimulate our economy and create jobs is to let hard-working Americans keep more of their money. After all, the money belongs to them, not to Washington. I like Cinderella, I really do. She has a good work ethic. I appreciate a good, hard-working gal, and she likes shoes. The fairy tale is all about the shoe at the end, and I'm a big shoe girl. Many good people serve in Congress. They are patriotic, hard-working, and devoted to the public good as they see it. But the institutional and cultural impediments to change frustrate the intentions of these well-meaning people as rarely before. I'm not a master, I'm just a hard-working filmmaker. I would like everyone to see me as a friend rather than a master. If a budget is designed to show our values, it's clear where the majority stands, against opportunity, against education, and against America's hard-working, tax-paying middle class. I just want people to see me as a hard-working footballer and someone who is passionate about the game. Congress has a responsibility to review research paid for by hard-working American taxpayers. I mean, I'm married to an academic oncologist, a cancer doctor, okay? He and his colleagues are some of the most conscientious, devoted, hard-working, conventional bourgeois people in the known universe. They are the people that keep this society going. I believe when hard-working citizens have earned their pension, it's wrong for Washington bureaucrats and politicians to take their pensions away. I think there's lots of people with family connections but who are actually nowhere. If you're hard-working and determined, you will make it, and that's the bottom line. I don't believe in an easy way through. As a former recipient of these services, I can honestly say that the overwhelming majority of TNF recipients are hard-working Americans who are down on their luck, and just want an opportunity to better their lives and those of their family through work and access to education. Life was very simple. My parents had come from the north of England, which is a fairly rugged, bleak, hard-working part of England, and so there was not the expectation of luxury. I think my uncle was probably the biggest influence in my life. We grew up in the same house, and he was just a really great, hard-working, honest, ethical person. Contrary to the macho culture of Mexico, both my grandmothers were very brave young widows. I was always very close to these hard-working, intelligent women. I've heard it said that umpires are necessary evil. Well, we are necessary, but we are not evil. We are hardworking and dedicated people whose primary interest is to make sure the game is played fairly. We are the integrity of the game. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.